My father must have done it in my presence many times before I took any notice. But I remember the first time I watched intently from behind him my father's face in the mirror as he shaved. I guess he felt my fascinated razor-envy gaze. "You'll be doing this someday," his reflection brightly promised me. I remember the first time I shaved, brightly recalling his promise, now come true. The memory stayed sweet a long while. Then I remember the first time I watched intently from behind him my father's face in the mirror as he trimmed the hairs that sprouted from his ears. His reflection cast me a rueful expression and went on clipping, making me no promises. It is the unsweet memory that persists and intrudes as if it is watching intently from behind me as I look into the mirror and notice for the first time my father's hairs sprouting from my ears. That's a sad one too, in case my face. My face and I had happy times together. In the days when it would come with me wherever I would go. My face would cheer my friends with a laugh, charm the patrons with a smile, and woo the pretty girls with a wink. Everybody seemed to like my face, but I liked it most of all. I liked it so much in the mirror that eventually I set it there, and there my face remains. My face no longer comes with me to cheer my friends, charm the patrons, and woo the pretty girls. It just stays there in the mirror for me and me alone to see. And now and then it laughs, smiles at me, and winks to call to mind the happy times we had together when my face would come along with me wherever I would go. My face then, my face now. Don't look at me that way. It's a crazy world and I'm just trying to keep up. Don't look at me that way. All you'll see is me looking back at you that way. Don't look at me that way. Enough people have already looked at me that way. Many of those people are dead. Don't look at me that way. There are sunsets and mountain streams, twinkling constellations, and prettier faces to look at. And there are other ways, so don't look at me that way. Now, while you're in the mood, ever think about this? Today may just be the best day of the rest of your life. Something may happen, some small, awful thing. So by tomorrow at this time, your world could be a much more miserable place to live and die. This may happen. This will happen to a lot of people. People you don't know, people you don't care a thing about, people like you. By this time tomorrow, many of them, many of you, many of us will be looking back on the best day of the rest of our lives. Ever think about that? Have a nice day. Well, I really do want you to have a nice day, so I brought along a little surprise. You know, I used to watch Paul Winchell and Jerry Mahoney, and I always wanted to be a ventriloquist. But you know, the sad thing is, I never got the hang of it. I couldn't get my lips to stop moving, so, you know, it was just, So I was a frustrated ventriloquist for years and years. And then I read a book that changed my life. I read the definitive book on the subject called Ventriloquism for Dummies. This book changed my life because it gave me this wonderful tip about a device that can make lip movement utterly undetectable. I have the device with me here today. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Did anybody see my lips move? Hey, it works perfectly every time. Okay, so now my guest Sniffy will speak to you. Pay no attention to the man in the bag. Don't waste my time teaching me to shake paws. What satisfaction is there in that? Some best friends you humans turn out to be. You go around complaining life stinks when you really have no idea what it smells like. You never return my sniffs. You give me an unwelcome look and shoo my nose away from your crotch. I'm not being impolite. It's just a protocol that you don't get because you're too busy with your nose in the air where it doesn't belong, where all it's likely to smell is the flatulence you blame on me. When I know exactly where it's coming from. Well, pardon me if I don't want to shake paws. And since you refuse to return my sniffs, maybe I'll just keep my nose in my own business. Thank you. The wonderful thing about Sniffy is that he's anatomically incorrect. So he can play multiple roles. He's trans. He can be trans. So he's also doubles as Judy. I used to love sitting with my faithful dog, Judy, watching the sunset. And yet, I began to realize as we sat there with the sky doing its kaleidoscopic tricks that Judy didn't get it. Judy was a bitch, in the very finest sense. She was affectionate yet demure, engaging yet unobtrusive, enthusiastic in a relaxed sort of way, and sensitive. Yes, I felt Judy was truly sensitive, and yet she didn't get sunset. She would sit with me politely as I admired fire-tipped clouds parading before the pink and purpling curtain of evanescent evening. She would listen attentively as I gasped my gasps and sighed my sighs, but Judy herself never evidenced any semblance of aesthetic sentiment for the splendor before us. I loved Judy, loved sitting and watching the sunset with her, and I felt Judy truly loved me too, and yet the poor bitch never did get sunset.